Hello, it is I, your dorky friend Lisa, back here talking about my favorite subject books. This week, we're going to talk about my childhood obsession, which was V.C. Andrews. She's had a resurgence of sales. I read an article online about her the other day, and apparently, she's coming back in big time. V.C. Andrews was hugely popular in the 80s. Her first book came out in 1979, which is Flowers in the Attic, which is still her most popular story. It had 2 movie makes, and the story still continues today. I probably read her, like I said, when I was about 9, which was vastly inappropriate, because there is gang rape and incest and murder. I remember making book covers to carry around the book so I wouldn't get questioned about it, even though technically she's labeled YA, which she shouldn't be, honestly, because again, there's rape and murder and incest, gang rape at that. So, well, there's rape in all the books, but gang rape is in one of the books. Anyway, so V.C. Andrews was born Cleo Virginia Andrews. She thought at first when she got her book back from the publisher that they had made a mistake, but apparently they figured it would be more profitable for her gender to be kind of hidden. Time period. Anyway, she herself was a bit of a recluse because she took care of her mother, and then she ended up herself being an invalid in a wheelchair, and she was a bit of a character because apparently she lied about being 38 until she was 56 years old. Anyway, most of her books, you can kind of tell that there is a bit of a formula to them. It's a lot of seclusion and hidden away kind of people. People feeling trapped, again, because we feel like this is what she was. She felt trapped, so therefore. Her books are, again, a formula, always, but they're highly entertaining still. So I'm going to go into her, again, her most popular is her first book, which is Flowers in the Attic. It got 2 movie makes, like I said, and it's still going strong today. She has additions to the series as of 2012, which is 3 books in a series by itself, which is related to the series, which is Christopher's Diaries. And the first one of that is The Secrets of Foxworth Hall, and the newest one is this one right here, which is The Echoes of Dullinger. Anyway, so they continued with that story. They continue a lot with her original works. She died in 1986 and had a ghostwriter from 87 on, which is a bit of a controversy because Simon & Schuster said that she had written a bunch of material already and that they just had a writer hired by the family to continue on her work. Well, that's been going on since, what, 87? Anyway, but we think he just took over the name because it's Andrew Niedermeyer and, excuse me, Niederman. And the first book from him written under the Andrews monogram is Garden of Shadows in 87. Alright, but again, my personal favorite, not to go crazy, is My Sweet Audrina, which is about a young girl who's kind of trapped in a house. She doesn't, hidden from the world, doesn't really know what's going on in the modern world, blah, blah, blah. It turns she's been gang raped, lots of craziness. Well, this one has had a remake too, sequel to My Sweet Audrina, which is White Fern, which came out in 2016. I don't know much about it yet. I just found it because I stopped reading V.C. Andrews probably when I was, I don't know, probably like 13 or 14. Anyway, but I think, again, they have replaced Niederman because she kind of went astray from the formula in 2010 with Daughters of Darkness, which is a vampire-esque novel. Again, she is formula, but an interesting, fun read always. The A lot of people don't realize, though, that Flowers in the Attic was sort of loosely based on a real story. Miss Andrews was prone with medical issues, obviously, due to being an invalid. She lived right here in Virginia, and she went to the UVA for medical, and she met a young doctor who was rather attractive, who she took an interest in, so of course she wanted to know everything about him. And it turns out that he had kind of a checkered past. His family was rather wealthy, but to keep the wealth, they kind of had to hide him and his siblings away. What for, I don't know. Nobody knows if the actual murders and incest and all that stuff happened in real life. But the, being hidden away in the attic did happen to this poor gentleman who was a doctor. So that part happened. Anyway, there are tons and tons of books by Miss V.C. Andrews that if you're into a little bit of trauma, I recommend. Like I said, the classic is Flowers in the Attic. They still work on this stuff. And my personal favorite, again, My Sweet Audrina. I highly recommend reading anything if you haven't read any of her, to go ahead and pick it up and start from the beginning. Pick a series. There's several of them. But again, I don't know if Mr. Needham's still doing them or somebody else is. But supposedly they're the V.C. Andrews pages. Anyway, I hope you had fun, guys. I know I did. If there's anything you found interesting and want to know about, comment below. If there's a book you want me to read and tell you about, comment below. Bye, guys.